Dempsey Weiss & Associates is a multi-line insurance agency successfully meeting the insurance and financial needs of the landscaping, business contractor, and agricultural community in southern New Jersey and southeastern Pennsylvania since 1989. To learn more, visit us at www.dempseyweiss.com.
Hey there, and welcome to the Business of Business podcast. Here we are two daughters and their dad, seeking to inspire and educate you to follow your dreams of being in business by teaching you the business of being in business. Thanks for joining us. So grab a coffee, turn up the volume. Here we go. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Business of Business podcast. Two daughters and their dad. I am your host, Staci J. Dempsey, and the J. Why? Go ahead and say it, because you know it, because it's what brings the joy. And as always, thankfully, we have here today in studio for the first time in a year, back together, masked up, 6 feet apart. I have the dad and the daughter, Jack and Jennifer. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Listen, we're going to get this podcast down today if it's the last thing we do. We are not Zooming today because technology has failed us. So we are doing it the old-fashioned way by miking up and sitting around the table. And again, we are masked up and as far away from each other, I think, as we can in order to make this work. So with all of that said, today we are doing the topic, bumping around the topic of work-life balance. And before we started our podcast this morning, Jack and Jennifer were just sitting here with all the answers in work-life balance. So you're definitely going to want to download this episode, turn up the volume, because they have all the answers that the whole world has been searching for. Right, Jack and Jennifer?
That's a lot of pressure.
Actually, I think Staci's kind of like what our computer's been, kind of that spinning circle. I think we had more questions than what we had answers, but we're going to dive into the topic, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, definitely, everywhere we go, everything that we read, it is the work-life balance. And a lot of times that's because we have a lot on our plate, especially as entrepreneurs. There are, obviously, we're in a business or maybe multiple businesses that we are involved in, that we are working hard in. Maybe we have charities, nonprofits, churches that we are also very involved in, and it's important to us. Families, personal development, taking care of your personal health. Listen, we can fill the hours pretty easily with all the things that we need to get done. And quite often, I think, at least the people sitting around the table, including myself, often feel like while I'm trying to be involved in one thing, my mind is being pulled into a whole host of other things, which often at least leaves me feeling like right then and there, whatever I was supposed to be focused on didn't really get my 100%. And then there's a guilt that comes with that. And Jennifer's shaking her head. Jack's blinking his eyes like, yep, I know exactly what you're talking about. And I'm sure a lot of our listeners right now are sitting there going, yep, Staci, that's exactly what maybe every day feels like. And it can be very frustrating, right? It can be very, very frustrating. So, Jennifer, I'll start with you. Some of the points that when you think about work-life balance, what comes to mind as far as maybe what works for you? Because we're looking for the answer. So
The answer, well, I'm sorry to disappoint, but the answer looks different to everyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
But a huge topic that we talk inside of my business, and I'll just start with physical work-life balance. I'm fortunate to be in the salon 4 days a week and home with my daughter 3 days a week. So that's what works for me. Again, when I'm in the salon, I'm working 10, 12-hour days, not seeing my daughter other than dropping her off at daycare. But on the flip side, I do get to be home with her 3 days a week. Just recently, I felt like I needed to spend more time inside my business. We have more projects going on, more things going on that I just cannot get to everything in 4 days. So there's that struggle, right? So I'm asking myself, can I start working on Tuesdays, put my daughter in daycare, and how is that going to work? And so I'm having this conversation with myself, well, I really don't want to. Like, I want to be home with my daughter 3 days a week. So in return, the question is, am I okay with not being able to grow my business in the way I want to? So sacrificing growth to be with my daughter.
Right.
Or sacrificing time with my daughter, putting her in daycare another day a week to focus on my business.
Right.
And I have to tell you, the decision has not been made yet. It's a very, very hard decision to make. I'm completely torn. But that's really what, physical work-life balance, making your schedule. When are you spending time on your business? When are you spending time with your family? You have that thought like, my daughter's only going to be 2.5 for so long. So you have to be okay with the decision.
Right.
And realize that, again, black and white. If I stay at home with my daughter, my business cannot grow right now.
Right.
In the way I want it to. Or I can focus on growing my business and only be home with my daughter 2 days a week. Whatever decision I make, I have to be 100% okay with the sacrifice.
Right.
And that's very hard for people to do. It's a huge conversation that we talk. Again, I work with all women, all mothers. So it's a hard decision to make. And so that kind of working out your schedule can be very difficult.
Sure. I think, too, that when people think of work-life balance, I think, too, that people often think that everything has to be in equal parts, that however I'm divvying up my time, it all has to be in equal parts in order to make it fair. And then that's what makes it balanced. Whereas, depending on what your life looks like right now, that balance might be, I have to make sacrifices with my family right now in order to grow my business so that, at a certain, I want to work to a certain place to where then I can put the balance back more with, time with my family or certain vacations or experiences or whatever that looks like for you. So I think people get this notion that everything has to be equal and fair, and that's what makes it balanced. When in fact, I feel like, especially, and maybe it's more geared towards women just because maybe we work with more women than men right now, that, it's definitely, we feel like we have to do everything in equal parts. And it's just really not, or having it all, right? Like if I have work-life balance, then I have it all. But honestly, having it all might not be possible right here and right now with whatever your lifestyle and business looks like.
Exactly. And we all go through different seasons in our life. Like right now, having a small child, this season that I'm in, I want to be home with her 3 days a week. That doesn't necessarily mean the next season in our life that might look a little bit different. So everyone has to do what's best for, what they have going on in their life. And it is a hard decision. But just talking about myself, before I had my daughter, of course, I could work all day, every day, and I did.
Mm-hmm.
And so having that pull back a little bit is an adjustment. So every season of your life that you go in, work-life balance is going to look different.
Sure. Well, and then when you mix into the technology portion of being drawn into demands on how technology alerts us to things that are important and things that are not important.
Absolutely.
And that plays a part in our work-life balance. Now, before we got started, Jack admitted that he is terrible at work-life balance, 35 years into business. and he's just, that's the one bad thing that's the one thing Dad is not good at. It's
what a
hard
terrible
to
trait to have.
Right.
No, we had to remind him as his kids, like, we know that you are bad at this. We know you tried.
Yeah.
We know you tried really hard, but no.
But even so, tell us all the ways that you are not good at this, Jack, so our listeners can benefit and learn.
Well, I don't think I used the word terrible at this. I think I said, I'm not really great at it. So that might be a difference. But before I do that, going back to what Jennifer was talking about, in her particular situation, one of the things, Jennifer, you want to be careful with, and I would say this to others, that when you're asking the question, you don't want it to really be an either or type of question. So, for example, either I grow my business and miss out on my time with my daughter, or I spend time with my daughter and not grow my business? I think you want to be careful with that question. I mean, what I would encourage you and others to ask is, how could I still be making progress towards growing my business and my business goals while still spending quality time or the amount of time I want to with my, because I think if you ask that or frame that question a little bit differently, then it generates a little bit more innovative thinking. Maybe it will generate, ideas on how you can be shifting some things that you're doing now through delegation or using or outsourcing that would free up the time for you to still be making good progress on growing your business, but yet spending that 3 days, with your daughter. So again, we have to be careful on how, we ask these questions, because sometimes they're not either or.
Right.
Sometimes they are, but in many cases they're not, and they don't have to be. One of the things I hear all the time now is really two themes. I'm busier than ever, so there's the busy, and then there's the time. Where does time going? Time's going by so fast. When I got into business 35 years ago, there was the ability to work, long hours, and I did that, and I still do that. But at some point, though, there was a somewhat natural break that when you went home, you weren't connected anymore. Technology wasn't there to keep you connected. We didn't have the smartphones, and we didn't have the laptops and the iPads that kept us connected as they do now. So there was a natural break there that's not there today. So I think for me, what that means is I have to be far more intentional creating that balance and not relying on some kind of natural balance just to occur, because they're not there anymore.
Right.
I mean, you literally can stay connected. You can literally stay engaged in your business 24/7 if you would choose to do that. For me, that is really trying to master that downtime, and in some cases even schedule that downtime, that I'm shutting it down, and I'm turning it off at this time every day, or I'm shutting it down on the weekends, whatever. You just have to be super disciplined to do that, because if you don't, you will literally just stay connected and plugged in all the time, and then it does, then you start to see the effects of that. For me, I mean, that's really the big thing now is to just be super intentional about when I am at least attempting to turn it off. The problem is I can turn off a phone and I can turn off a laptop. I just can't seem to turn my brain off.
Listen, I know. There's been many times where, something transpired late on a Friday afternoon, and all weekend it's just it's stewing in my brain, and I make it a point to not look at my phone very much over the week, over that weekend, and because I know there's some emails there waiting for me, and there's people that are waiting for my response, and it's just like, oh man, I just don't know. How about that? I just don't know right now. So, but, speaking of email and technology and scheduling things out, one of the great things is that we really can use technology now to our benefit to help us schedule those things out. I know a lot of our marketing that's done by Janet, a lot of that looks like there's someone at Dempsey Weiss working on the weekends, right? But really that was just a program or an app that, can schedule posts in advance. I mean, I have apps now on my phone that they alert me to, okay, right now you have 60 seconds to be mindful and to meditate for 60 seconds on whatever your intention is. And so there's so many different ways that you can actually use technology to benefit you, and you can go in and turn notifications off. Did you guys know that?
Do not disturb.
Do not disturb. I don't want Facebook to alert me every single time someone goes live, or Instagram, or all those types of things. So really, I think taking a look at our technology now and how it can serve us better rather than, we just get our phone or we get our, our laptop or tablet or whatever we're using and letting it kind of do whatever it's already programmed to do. I think that's one way to really help with that work-life balance, so we can just take these distractions that, pop up. I mean, it seems like every single minute. So I know that, that's definitely, even though it's hard for us to unplug, like, maybe we once were able to do so, now we can really use technology to our benefit. So definitely would encourage our listeners to do that and be very intentional about it.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things you said there that I think is a great way to approach this is that start to make some changes really in small increments. So, if there's just like stepping away from the business, or just kind of having an app that just reminds you just to pull away for 60 seconds. I mean, it doesn't sound like a long time, but the statistics are pretty clear that staying at something for hours upon hours, your efficiency, really does drop, so, just that 60 seconds or 5 minutes to walk away and go get, a glass of water and hydrate, or a cup of coffee, or whatever it may be, is really a very good investment of time. But again, the bigger thing is just those small things, just start to implement small changes, when it comes to a work-life balance, and, and then build on those.
J Faith Hair Studio, centrally located in southern New Jersey. J Faith Hair Studio is the place to go to become the best version of yourself. Confidence in your appearance is always important, and a great hairstyle is an absolute necessity. Visit jfaithhairstudio.com to book your appointment today.
Jennifer, what might be some balance that you, maybe whether you use technology or not use technology, what would be maybe some things that you use in your business to help you kind of balance those boundaries? Because earlier we were talking about not, balance also constitutes some boundaries. So for example, I know that in my nonprofit life, when people will or send us a Facebook message saying, hey, listen, I want to drive, or I want to volunteer, or they just ask a question, there's an automated message that comes up that says, thank you so much for contacting us. We really appreciate it. Someone will answer you directly within the next 24 hours. And so it gives people, because we have maybe clients or customers that are looking to, because we can be connected 24 hours a day, 7 days a week now, it gives people the opportunity to reach out to us. That message responds back to them, so they feel acknowledged, even though they might have their direct question answered yet, but they feel acknowledged, and then someone on the staff can answer them appropriately, and more so under their time frame. So, someone's not being pulled away on a Sunday afternoon,
Right.
To answer a question. So that's just kind of one example of how we're using technology to keep the boundaries, especially in our
Right.
nonprofit world. People just expect you to be maybe just so grateful that they're even reaching out to you at 2:00 in the morning on a Friday night,
Right.
and are looking for a response. So what are you kind of sharing in your business as far as maybe something like that is concerned?
Well, it's so true, right? Because our consumers, our clients, our guests, they want that instant gratification. Like, I know our guests love that we have online booking, because they think, they look at themselves at 2:00 in the morning, like, I need a haircut. They can go online
Right.
and book their appointment, right? So that, and social media is so big inside our business, where we have really coached our teammates and the staff and our whole company to have a list of what we're doing on social media every day. So we're actually promoting that we need to be on social media every single day. But at the same time, we all hear about social media breaks, where you need to unplug and you need to walk away, and that's fine. But we're talking about, in my business, constant constant communication, constant content being pushed out through our business. And it is a lot and it can be overwhelming. And I think when you have a business like mine that is so huge on social media, there will come a time where you have to delegate that off to someone else, hire someone to be able to take that in. Again, that's a really hard role because you need someone inside the salon with you, especially.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, you know, nowadays, everyone in business, not only in my industry, it's like, here's my phone number, here's my Facebook, here's my Instagram, DM me, send me a text message, call the salon. Like, we want to make ourselves available all of the time. And again, like we were talking about, carving out, really detailing out our day. Like, this is the time I'm going to answer messages and respond to people. We have people contacting us, asking us lengthy questions, asking about consultations. And so we really want people to come inside of our business for things like that. So it's hard. You can get caught up in social media like we see happening all of the time. And the problem is if you're not willing to respond to a potential new customer for your business, there's another salon that will respond faster than you. So this is such a huge topic. Balance is so hard, especially in our industry. So again, it looks differently for everybody, but obviously we encourage people to probably be on social media more than what you guys would encourage your staff to be on social media. So there's definitely a balance. For me personally, in my everyday life, there's times that I have carved out in my schedule that we're going to post, respond, do giveaways, videos, content. Like, I have it all scheduled out throughout my day. So, but I'm really bad at it because I will be that person at 9:00 at night responding to emails and messages and things like that. It doesn't take but a few minutes to do. So to me, it's not a big deal, but I can see how it can become overwhelming to other people.
Sure. And the thing is, we want to be responsive to our clients and our customers, and we want to be of service, especially if maybe they have a more simplistic request from us. So I know here at Dempsey Weiss, and I'll let you go into this, Jack, how we try to respond to clients and what technology we're using right now, which I don't know, is it technology, if it's still people, but I don't know.
Well, it's both. I mean,
Yeah.
certainly, I mean, in our business, I mean, the expectations of being able to connect outside that 9 to 5 window, has grown. I mean, people are used to jumping on their smartphones or their devices and really connecting. And so, we can't be oblivious to that. We have to be, able to compete with that, but yet realize, that, that we can't do all that. So, so for example, we have a customer call center, because the other thing you'll hear from people too, it's always nice to get a person on the phone, so,
Right.
so, we have a customer call center that, after hours and weekends, if people call our phone number, they're reaching a person, they have access. The vast majority of the things that the person's calling for, that person can handle that right on the spot. And so, so that's a way for us to, again, meet customer expectations, but not figure out how to cram all that into a week that's already busy. And so that would be certainly one area. And I think that, when we talk about work-life balance, I mean, I think we have to define, what's important to us as individuals when we're talking about life outside of work. And everybody's situation's different. Jennifer's situation is certainly different than mine because, she has a toddler that she's caring for. It's certainly important to me that I get, I like to exercise. I like to have that in my routine, and I don't want to sacrifice that for work because I know that will sacrifice how I am at work. My days are busy, so to think that I can get to the gym during the day is hard and would be difficult, and it's disruptive in the flow of a day. So that's not the best. To try and go in the evening, well, forget about it because I'm usually spent by then, so I'm not going to do so. Obviously, for me, my best option is to go early in the morning. So I do go. I go early in the morning, and for me, the benefit of going super early is not only do I get workouts that are uninterrupted, I'm not interrupted on my cell phone with text messages and other things, and it allows me then to also do other things that are important to me spiritually and, self-development and those things, because I'm doing all this at a time when most people are sleeping,
Right.
So that creates a balance for me, but I have to be very intentional about that. If I'm getting up that early to do that, that means that I have to make sure my evenings are such that I can get to bed early so that I can do the mornings early.
Sure.
And all of those things. That's a level of intention that just has to, you have to, as we said earlier, I think it just takes that discipline.
Right.
It just takes a lot of discipline to have work-life balance.
Yeah, I think when you talk to people about work-life balance, you notice that people have a schedule. I'm up at 6 o'clock in the morning. This is what I do when I wake up. This is what time I'm dropping my kids off. Really, I think the major key, at least for me, for work-life balance is having a super strict schedule of this is what time we're doing this. This is what time we're doing this. And then on the weekends, obviously trying to let that go. And then circling back to, something that's weighing on your mind. I actually like that. I like to have a problem and take the weekend to think about it. My greatest ideas always come 9 o'clock at night in the shower. It just comes to you. There's the answer I've been looking for. Why did it take me 4 days to get to it? That's one thing I've learned just in entrepreneurship is you don't always have to respond right away to a problem or a challenge. Scheduling is important.
Well, that's a good point. Part of the challenge there, Jen, is that if you're starting at 6 in the morning, you're starting way too late.
Oh, well, I already know that, but your girl is tired, okay?
It's there's a lot of good hours that have already passed in the day by 6 in the morning.
I totally agree. I need to get back to that 5:30 in the morning person, but
listen,
tired.
but Jack doesn't have children that wake up multiple times a night. I can tell you right now, my kids, they go to bed at 7:30, 9:30. They need an extra hug.
Yeah.
That's how they get me. I just wanted to give you another hug. And then at midnight, I need juice. Then we have an argument that we're not getting juice at midnight.
Right.
And then 4:30. No, it's not time to get up.
Well, you
walk
remember
back
that,
to the
Stace,
before
before we had kids, we would meet at the gym at 6 o'clock in
did.
the morning.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're talking about. Seasons of your life, things change. We have to adjust and do the best we can. Nowadays, it's putting your kids in the stroller and trying to get a mile walk in and listen to our podcast, actually, most of the
That's
time.
exactly right.
But
Well, it's a good
adjusting.
point. I mean, obviously, it's a good point. I don't have little kids. That's clear. But the other good point is, is that sometimes, we just have to just talk about or make our goal progress.
Right.
And not, when things aren't breaking our way on how we wanted our work-life balance to look, let's grab something, if it's, again, if it's a 10-minute walk around the block when I was hoping for an hour of uninterrupted time, and I'm not getting that today. Well, it's easy just to bag it and say,
Right.
that's that, or it's what, hey, let's go take a quick walk, and I think that's something else, is to always have that mindset of, just even if it's just a little bit of progress, make some progress. The other big area for me too is nutrition. I mean, I think that if the more that you can understand the impact of nutrition in work-life balance, certainly. We've all heard it, input in, input out. The
Right.
better we eat, the better, more energy we're going to have, the more rest we're probably going to get because we're not eating the wrong things before we go to bed.
Right.
And so, really having that level of intentionality of eating and having a nutrition program that supports the life that you're having, because we're busy and we've got a lot going on. And so, if we're eating junk, well, it's not going to sustain us. It's only going to cause us problems. And then looking at that, because have you noticed that eating healthy is a little more time consuming?
Absolutely.
Than eating crap.
Yeah.
So understanding, okay, what does that mean? If I want good nutrition through the majority of my week, and I know that means that I have to I can't be living off of Wawa. Well, that means I need to carve out a little time on the weekends maybe for food prep and getting some things ready that's ready to go, through my week, so that, again, it helps me. It's an investment of time. It's intentional, and it's an investment of time on the weekend, but it creates a lot more for me Monday through Friday or whatever those super busy days are in your schedule. So
I like that Dad said crap. I'm pretty sure that might be the closest we might get to a cuss word. I said, "Oh my goodness, did he just say crap?" That
scared me a little bit.
I know, it's just said in my mind. Did he just say crap?
I knew that was going to come back to haunt
Well,
me.
listen, and it's funny that you're bringing that up because I was just having this conversation. We were actually talking about what kind of people do we want to attract into our business, and someone else said this, and it resonated with me. She's like, "I want healthy people." She's like, "Don't you want to work with healthy people? People that meditate, people that exercise, people that eat, because then they're feeling good, right? They have a better attitude. They're more positive. They can think clearer." And I guess in my list of what kind of people would I want to attract inside my business to work for me and with me, that was never. So it just opened up my eyes. Like, you're right. We want to attract people to work with us that take time to take care of themselves, because in return, we're going to get a whole lot more benefit out of a happier, healthier person in their personal life. They're going to show up better for us when they come to work every day, when they work on their career. And I just thought that was like, why didn't I think of that? That's so true. Like, yes, you can come in at 11, go get your workout in, come in feeling good. And that's really what it's about, is, like you said, Dad, like just happier, healthier people perform better at their career,
But it takes intention, and
It does.
for most people, and discipline, to really make the commitment to that. But it does. It just makes a difference. So I think establishing what's my priorities. We understand work.
Yep.
Now what's life? So the other thing that, and you guys alluded to it, the things that you guys deal with, I don't deal with to the same extent anymore, with young kids. So, I think we've talked about this in prior podcasts, but I call it the law of congruency, where you can, you might have a really great plan for launching a business and getting into entrepreneurship and really super excited. But at the end of the day, understanding that it takes a lot of time, and it can be very grueling to get that business off the ground. So as you start down that road and you have a young family and you realize, boy, that the level of sacrifice it's going to take for me to do this business, you better make sure you understand it, because once you get into it, now you're not tucking your kids into bed at night. You're not seeing them as much as that you have grown accustomed to. That can start, especially when your business starts to maybe face some headwinds. It's easy to say it's not worth it. I'm missing out on my family. I'm missing out. So, you just really need to make sure you understand the price it's going to take to get your business off the ground, and having momentum, so that maybe then you can have a better work-life balance than what you would do working as an employee. But, you really need to understand that going into it.
Right.
Yep.
We talk about what the American dream really is, and inside our business, we always talk about the true American dream is freedom of time and financial freedom. And however you get there is how you get there. Whatever that means for you, it means for you. And, again, there's a lot of people that we know that make $50,000 a year and are happy and healthy and making it happen, right? There's no number on it. It's whatever works best for you. So I think all entrepreneurs, we've heard it with our guests that we've had before, we talk about freedom and money and profits. And that's really, I think, what all entrepreneurs want at the end of the day. That's why we work so hard.
That's exactly right. So all in all, work-life balance, maybe there was a little bit of an answer in there in that conversation for our listeners. Maybe there was some additional confirmation for the three of us sitting around the table that the work-life balance is really the balance that you are the most comfortable in having right then and there, and what your business needs and what your family, your charities, your churches, all the places that you are pulled from, whatever balance is well with your heart is the balance that might look a little bit different than everyone else. And that's okay. But just continuing to strive to find that balance that makes you happy in your life. So we hope that this podcast has been helpful to someone out there. We want to thank our listeners, as always, for downloading and tuning in with us. So don't keep us a secret. Go ahead and share us on all of your social medias. Yeah, we're going to ask you to plug into your social media real quick and share us with your friends and your family and those that you work with and those that are working in your business with you. And we hope, again, that you guys have found this to be beneficial. You can email us if you have questions, if there's topics that you would like for us to maybe discuss. You can email us at 2daughters, that's TWO, 2daughters and their dad at gmail.com. We hope to hear from you. And until we can talk to you again, everyone take care, be kind to yourself, and be kind to each other. Thank you. Bye-bye. We want to thank you for listening today. Please subscribe so you never miss an episode. Leave us a positive review. And we want to say thank you to our sponsors, Dempsey Weiss & Associates and J Faith Hair Studio.